that offense. You said it last year in season on 27 and Q, and I was taken back. You said Trey Lance will get traded. Now, Darnold was bumped up to the backup role, obviously behind Purdy. Lance now goes to Dallas for a 4th-round pick, which in my estimation, this is me, tells me that to some extent the handwriting is on the wall for Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy, meaning this is it. And how many years have we kept saying make or break, but this is really it. Dak coming off, banged up, inconsistent play, some bad picks. I mean, we're going to dissect a lot of this, but your first initial reaction when you hear that the Dallas Cowboys traded for essentially right now, it's turned out to be a bust of a draft pick in Trey Lance, who finds a new home. But your thoughts right now, what does that mean for Dak Prescott and what does that mean for Trey Lance?
Well, I don't necessarily say he's a bust. I thought he was doing pretty well last year when he went down. I mean, to be honest with you, I thought he was, early in the season,
serviceable,
getting the early season, jitters out. But did he ever have a true opportunity to go ever showcase his ability as a starting franchise quarterback? No, he never had that. So I don't think he's a bust. He just hadn't had the right opportunity. What's still writing on the wall for Dak Prescott? As I said over my interview with ESPN a few days ago, people take it as, oh, he just hated Dallas Cowboys. No, I'm doing my job. This is my job. This is what I do. No comments I make goes to any hate toward any team. This is me simply talking about what I think is going to transpire in these franchises, like over the years. So I made the comment that Dak Prescott will be a backup when this contract is over with. Everybody they roasted me. They killed me for it. Like, what do I know? One guy even called me a dickhead. But at the end of the day, people act like they have short memories, right? They don't remember. Okay, let's take it back. Dak signed his deal.
Yeah.
Dak signed his deal. He went down with the finger, got hurt. Cooper Rush came in and
that's right.
He lit it up for Dallas, right?
Lit it up.
So now people have these, no one knew, but everybody was wondering, will Dallas keep Cooper Rush as a starting quarterback when Dak Prescott get back from his injury?
That was his fate.
That was something that that was talked about. So people forget that stuff, right? They forget that type of stuff. This is right after his deal was done. So now he has 2 years left on his deal. He's contracted to Dallas through 2024.
Yep.
He's making $160 million over, I think it's over 4 years or something like that.
Correct.
He's in the 3rd year of that deal right now, and is Dallas going to give him another $100 million contract after after this contract is over? No, he's not, which means he's not going to accept it because Dak Prescott is going to think he's better than that. I don't blame him. He has to think that he's better than what they're offering, or like all of us do. Like, no heat against Dak Prescott at all, but it's just the business. So Dallas is not going to offer him that, right? So now they got a Trey Lance there who they can probably give $50-60 million to for over whatever to come out and play football, right? So with that being said, is Dak, where else in the NFL can Dak Prescott go and be a quarterback and be a starting quarterback? Which what I said, in the next 2 years he'll be a backup not due to ability, but due to more finances, more than ability.
The 160 over 4, it's a massive cap charge of $59.4 million 2024. If they keep him with no deal, it's $59.4 million. That's the cap charge. If they cut him or trade him before June, it's right around $61 million. So, I mean, I went back and forth. A couple of my buddies, my one good friend, he's a diehard Dallas fan. We're on a thread, about 10 of us. We're going back and forth. We're talking about the numbers. We're talking about this. And I said, look, I think it's a twofold. This is me. Whether you think Dak Prescott can play, and let's not forget, this guy's a 4th-round draft pick, Dak Prescott, but because he's got the star on the helmet with the Cowboys, we tend to think he was a top 10 draft pick. And he played well early on in his career, but then so many injuries. He's 2-4 in the playoffs. The decision-making hasn't been there. They lost a couple offensive weapons. I think a lot of it also has to do with the play calling, but the inconsistency. This, to me, we talked about it last year during the season. This, to me, is a move where, okay, Dak, you're not going to have to look over your shoulder unless you ball out, right? Because you've got the kid Will Greer, they're going to let him play tonight in the preseason to showcase what he has. He'll be released. You got Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush, to your point, B, probably thinks like, what the frig, man? What the hell do I need to do? I believe they got minimal risk with Trey Lance. So even if it doesn't work out with Lance a year or two, you have a bridge quarterback. But to your point, even a step further, when you look at Dak Prescott and you line him up in the NFC East, I mean, listen, Jalen Hurts is better than Prescott. Daniel Jones is better than Dak Prescott right now. Washington's high on this kid, Sam Howell. So I think all eyes are going to be on Prescott in that Dallas offense. I just don't believe he's a franchise quarterback anymore. I think he's a serviceable quarterback that can get Dallas to 10, 11 wins. But if you need to go, well, let me phrase it like this. If you need to go 80 yards with 2:20 to go, 2-minute warning, 1 timeout, and you're down 6, I mean, I can throw out a bunch of quarterbacks. Is Dak Prescott one of those quarterbacks you want under center?
No, not necessarily, but he definitely have the weapons around him to go 80 yards. But I'm not sure if he's the piece to it.
I don't believe he's got the clutch gene in him, and I also believe this is more of Jerry Jones thinking, okay, Trey Lance was a 3rd overall draft pick. It didn't pan out. It was a bad pick by the 49ers. He didn't fit that offense. He didn't fit that scheme. So now it's like, let me do a reclamation project, right? Let me bring him in, see if I can get something out of this kid because it's low risk, high reward. And you think about the numbers, you're not going to break the bank for Trey Lance. With all that being said, if the Dallas Cowboys start the season 2-4, 2-5, and Dak's struggling and he's throwing picks and Lance is doing everything he needs to do in practice, and oh, by the way, jumps Cooper Rush as the backup, do you see Jerry Jones basically whispering McCarthy's ear, put this kid in? And if that's the case, now you got a full-blown quarterback controversy.
I'm not sure if that will go to that, but I do know that injuries happen. And if Dak were to get hurt in the midst of the numbers you just said, midst of the numbers you just brought up, it's goodbye for him. It's goodbye for him. But to just take him out of the game and demote him, bench him, I don't see Jerry doing that.
So you're saying if he's injured, that's one thing. But I'm talking inconsistent play. You don't think that would happen?
No, I don't think that happened. I don't think they would not start Dak. I do think they'll have a little bit more of a rotation. I mean, at that point, I think they will have a little bit more of a rotation to see what these other guys will be able to do. They already know what Cooper Rush is capable of. We all know what Cooper Rush is capable of. Some of us may think Cooper Rush should still be the starting quarterback right now at this point.
So if Lance beats out Cooper Rush's backup, though, if he I listened to the spot that you did the other morning, and I thought your points were pretty valid. I mean, even afterwards, I know they were kind of roasting you a little bit. I think it's more because of the national sentiment towards the Dallas Cowboys, right? See, are we really talking about this right now if Trey Lance got traded to Arizona? We're not really talking about this, right? I mean,
we're not talking about
a little bit.
The Dallas Cowboys, America's team.
Yeah. I mean, Murray's time might be at an end, but it's the Dallas Cowboys. And again, this is just me, man. I see a scenario where he's just going to look over his shoulder. I think there's going to be more pressure on him. I think he's going to tighten up unless he comes out gangbusters and they're 4-2, 5-1 every week. When he struggles, the conversation is going to be, is it now time for Cooper Rush? Is it now time for Trey Lance? And I'm just curious. I know I said bust, and it has the makings of it right now, so maybe that's a little harsh. Do you believe that we put so much more stock in the player where they're drafted? Like if Trey Lance was a 2nd or 3rd rounder, we're not all up in arms. Because I thought at 3, when the 49ers had that selection, I thought that was going to be the pick to kind of have a domino effect for the rest of the draft. And in essence, it kind of did. So I know you said he's not a bust, but we look at it as he's a 3rd overall draft pick and he's already been traded.
Mm-hmm. That's just difference in franchises, right? Um, like I said, I don't think he had enough snaps to be a bust. I truly don't. I don't believe he had enough real, true in the fire snaps to be a bust. He haven't went out and thrown, like interceptions and fumbled the ball and made piss poor decisions with the ball. He hasn't had a chance to do any of that. So I can't call him a bust. We still are. We still don't know what Trey Lance is capable of doing.
But is it possible they saw enough of him in those games, a handful of sample size and in practice, to realize this kid can't play, or he can't play in that offense?
Injuries always help organizations make their decisions.
Decision easier.
I think if he don't get hurt, I think he still I think he still starts I think he starts the whole season, and we never know who Brock Purdy is. We never know that.
Yeah. Yeah. And right. And Garoppolo goes down, he gets hurt. Right.
Garoppolo goes down, and now you're on Purdy, who give your team a phenomenal lift, swagger. Everybody loves him. He put butts in the seats, people buying jerseys, like all of this stuff. So I think Purdy's definitely. I think the 49ers made the right decision by bringing him back this year as the starter.
So the Dallas Cowboys, they open up against your New York Football Giants, which, listen, I mean, for the Giants, I thought Daniel Jones and their offense looked really good. Just as I like to say, a little cup of coffee in the preseason, but they look good. Waller looks like a friggin' beast. I know he had the
Waller is a beast.